Okay, we're on, guys. What's going on? Good to see my friends. How you doing?
Welcome to the
Hey,
party.
Let's
We're
see.
here
We
today,
we
having a
got
blast like every other Sunday.
we got five people
absolutely.
here. We got five people here in the chat, or five people waiting. We got Barbarian Kung Fu's in here.
And three of them are us. Barbarian, thanks for showing up, homie.
He's reminding us to keep this short because he's got an auction going on. I think him and Big Will have an auction in about 30 minutes. So
Don't worry.
everybody go check that out for a little bit, or come late
Sure.
like me probably, because I'm gonna watch Game of Thrones and cry my eyes out after I cried my eyes out multiple times this weekend watching nerdy comic book visual content.
Oh, it's been such a good weekend, man.
So we will not be spoiling anything either Game of Thrones or Avengers related on this stream. We're just going to chat, Jeffrey and Bake and I, a little bit about our thoughts about the movie. I mean, I titled the video Avengers Endgame Takes Over the World because it literally made $1.2 billion. It made $1.2 billion worldwide, which was, smashing the global first weekend box office with 1.2 billion, and then it totally obliterated its own record from Infinity War last year for domestic box office with 350 million dollars in the U.S. box office.
Man,
And what's the record?
Opening
Avatar?
weekend. So Avatar has the all-time record at 2.7 billion.
Which is ridiculous because it's just Fern Gully and Smurfs mixed together.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that one, but I think people just went to see that a million times for whatever reason, especially internationally.
well,
But
I think
anything,
the special effects at that time were just amazing, right?
that's
Like,
true.
Yeah, but there's still nothing compared to like what we've seen in Transformers and Endgame and all these other ones. So
for 10 years ago, like 3D, there was really, I mean, no 3D technology that came even close to Avatar at the time. But I don't want to talk about Avatar. I'm not a huge fan of it personally,
yeah.
and I know
you're not ready for the 4 sequels that are coming.
I know they're working on a ton of sequels, and I may or may not. I'll probably check them out, but I'm not like somebody who's like sitting there here counting the days. You know what I mean? I'm already counting the days to Spider-Man now at this point.
I'll tell you, I was counting the days for Endgame, though.
I was counting the days for Endgame. So just to reiterate, 1.2 billion in 4 days, if you include Thursday night, previews worldwide. So it has a chance at beating the all-time box office record for Avatar if it's gone that far that quickly. Like
technically, we still got like 6 hours too for today to be over with.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's probably sold out all the rest of the day too.
Right. I mean, all the articles like Variety or whatever are saying 350 million domestic and 1.2 billion. I mean, tomorrow that could go higher. You never know. I mean, but that's as of right now, that's the total, and it's definitely the biggest movie of all time, as far as single weekend goes, and probably many other records that I am not aware of, that I can't, I'm too lazy to read a whole article of after the.
Yeah.
Comic Head, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Comic Head, Stay Puff and Comic Geek McD, thanks again for stopping by. So we're not sure where. Wait, actually, we are sure where Soldier and Fuchsia are. They've got a home entertainment center project that's sort of in their way in order to effectively do anything else. So I feel their pain. Like I need to get through those projects as quick as possible to feel sane.
Right.
And I think Fuchsia is like wrapping up work, so they may or may not join. I sent them the link, but if so, they're welcome to hop on late. But it's just going to be us, and we'll try to wrap it up by 9 so that the auction guys can do their thing, and that
Game of Thrones
can ensue. So I'll let you guys start off as far as your thoughts on Endgame. I mean, I saw it twice, and my overall thoughts is that I'm absolutely in love with it, but I feel like I've gone through a whole boatload of emotions seeing it twice. What did you guys think without spoilers?
Oh, it is. I actually on my show Coast to Coast with Just a Rican yesterday. Since this movie came out, we decided to talk about our kind of list our favorite MCU movies, and it's probably my favorite movie maybe of all time now, and definitely my top Marvel movie. And like people, you could say that it's just because I just saw it; it's still fresh in my
Right.
head. But I've never watched a movie, especially one that I had built up to be so awesome in my head before I saw it. Usually you're disappointed, right, when you build it up, or at least for me, you know. But I came out of that movie glowing, just ear to ear grin on my face. You can see the, if you follow me on Instagram, you see I was smiling throughout the movie. I felt like a little kid, like honestly, you know what I mean? Watching that movie, it was emotions were up and down, and by the time I walked out of there, I was just like, I needed that. I liken it to be like, say you're getting ready to go out, you got something big, you're putting on a tuxedo maybe or something, you know, and the very last thing you do is put that bow tie on or that tie to make yourself look good to finalize and complete the outfit. That's what Endgame.
I want to see you with a tuxedo now.
That's a good analogy, man. No, the movie was great, man. Like 95% loved it. It was a great fan service. They seem to hit little parts in the movie that are just great nods to everything that you've seen throughout this whole, what was it, 11 years?
Yeah, the payoff. I mean, without saying anything specific, the payoffs that came like throughout, whether they were small things that were set up in big movies or in previous movies, or big things that were set up in previous movies.
Yeah, I'm usually quiet throughout movies. I hate when people cheer because there's no reason to cheer at a movie theater. The people can't fucking hear you. They're on a screen. Like, shut up and stop cheering at a movie theater, people.
Not
Anyway,
this time, huh?
Not this time.
I found myself talking out loud sometimes, like, oh, that, oh, this, you know, and I was like, wow, you know.
Yeah. The second time I saw it, I was with a more lively crowd than the first time I saw it. So I had that kind of weird difference where I'm experiencing the story for the first time, but I had more of a reserved crowd. So I was like more vocal and emotional and like, you know, I was the guy that was probably weird. You know what I mean? Like me and my buddy. And the guy next to us also was like on the same vibe as us. But the majority of the theater I felt like was uptight. Maybe the first time I saw it, but the second time I saw it, almost everybody was like on the same wavelength. So it was. I mean, it was both times were just.
I kind of knew it was going to be one of those flicks when, without giving anything away, the support scene, that first cameo you see in the support scene, I was like, boom, like, okay, yeah, like I doubt anyone else in the movie theater knew who the hell that was, but I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard to say much more on it. This is one of those movies where it's like you can give your thoughts and then it's like, well, what else?
Yeah, to elaborate more, you have to spoil it. So you're really just kind of giving your feelings.
Yeah.
I will say, I know it's probably, it's not, I mean, maybe a little spoiler. We all know by now that this is, for the most part, Stan Lee's last cameo in it. So when I did see Stan Lee in the movie, that was cool. That was real heartwarming right there.
Yeah, definitely. And there was something even right before his cameo that I saw that sort of alluded to his cameo that hit me in the feels, and then I saw the cameo and it was like,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say exactly what it is, but
enough said.
Yeah, exactly. So Barbarian Kung Fu is like, what kind of snacks are y'all eating today? He probably wants us to change the subject from Endgame.
I got good and plenties, man. You know I'm ready. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I like licorice. But then again,
I go through like periods where like I
like red licorice.
See, for me, it's kind of weird because licorice resembles Jaeger. And a lot of my friends in college would drink Jaeger bomb and love Jaegers, but they hate licorice. I love licorice, but I hate Jaeger. Go figure.
So I have a distinct memory of waking up somewhere on the streets of LA in my car and just repeatedly throwing up into the street and then going back to sleep and then being woken up by a police officer. I didn't get arrested or anything. He just like told me to move on or whatever. But like that was from like a night of Jaeger bomb drinking, and I have not drank Jaeger. This is like, I think this was like 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, Jaeger and Red Bull and vodka are out.
I haven't touched it. I haven't touched it since that night. So so that has affected my my licorice.
I wish I could say the same for tequila.
Habit.
Been there, been there.
Yeah, man. Wednesday.
Yo, bro, Chad, what's
Hey,
happening?
Chad, what's going on?
What up? Yeah, I've got some Chinese food waiting for me. I just picked up right before we started. I got some sweet and sour pork and some tomato and beef curry chow mein. So
I got a Twix bar. I got a Twix bar waiting, like half a Twix bar for later on for dessert. I don't know what I'm gonna do for dinner, but for lunch I had I had breakfast.
Oh,
so
nice.
I had a
brunch,
a bagel, yeah, like a New York bagel with cream cheese, lox, and tomatoes and onions. Like it's a very New York lunch / breakfast sandwich. But I mean, snack wise,
salmon, right?
I also tried these Chips Ahoy. You know those Chips Ahoy like chewy cookies?
Soft batch.
The soft batch. So they make this version now where they stick like like a brownie on the inside. So it's soft batch on the outside and it's brownie in the middle. It's fantastic.
I'll tell you what, they've got some red velvet ones now with the white chocolate chips in it that are freaking bomb.
You know what I'm upset that I didn't get with Easter? Cadbury eggs, man.
Oh, yeah, I got some of those. Those are my favorite.
I love the original. I mean, they're super duper sweet, man, but they're just one. Just have one. That's it. I got to have one at least every year, but this year I didn't have one.
Yeah. Those are good, man. I could get sick eating those things.
Yeah, and I've also noticed that a lot of people don't like Peeps. I know this, but they're kind of like that nostalgic thing. And the taste of Peeps has changed also. Like, I guess for the better. It tastes more sugary compared to that nasty, like, weird taste when you were a kid.
I feel like the taste of candy corn has shifted, or maybe just my palate has shifted because, like, as a kid, I used to hate that, just absolutely despised it.
You're getting old, man. You like that play.
Now I like it.
Original, bro.
Yeah, now I like it. Yeah, I like
peppermint patty.
I like peppermint patties. I don't really like Werther's Original. I liked them as a kid, so I had the opposite reaction with Werther's.
The three like go-to grandma candies are the Werther's, the peppermint patties, the Andes mint. You know, the little mint chocolate sandwiches. They're Andes.
Yeah.
Those are like the go-to grandma candies.
My grandma, she always had black licorice, those Werther's Originals, and then like they'd come in like a cardboard tin, and they had like a plastic lid on them, and they're just like different hard candies with like different flavors.
Yeah, that assorted hard candies that you can never find in the store to buy somewhere, but every grandma always had them. Yeah,
I didn't grow up with a grandma in America like you guys. So
well,
like she didn't send you any packages or anything.
No, well, I mean, not really, not as far as like candy goes. So I didn't have the grandma candy thing, but I know what you mean. Like, I think like you know, I think I did have some friends that like basically their grandparents were their like primary guardian, and there was candy like that. Yeah, for sure. You know.
Or what's that other one where the wrapper looks like a strawberry and it has like strawberry?
Oh, yeah.
And the green on
it's got the goo inside of it.
I never knew what that was called either, but I remember it distinctly.
That's hilarious. Yes.
I love how we talk about snacks and candy.
All right, so I think we went down the snack rabbit hole for like 5 minutes longer than we wanted to. Thanks, Barbarian, for the setup. And he has to go do his auction or get ready for his auction. But what else is going on this week, guys? And you guys get up to anything else besides Endgame?
I've been playing some Kingdom Hearts 3 for the Xbox One.
Nice.
Is that the one with the Disney characters?
It is, yeah. I really got into the original one back in the day, and this one is very similar to that.
Now, is that a purely a story-based game, or is there a multiplayer or online element to that?
It's pretty much just basically a story-based game, and this one compared to the others is very story-driven. I mean, I'm really enjoying it, but there are some times where I'm just like, man, this cutscene could be could it be any longer? You know, a lot of cutscenes in it. You can skip through them, but like the cutscenes kind of divulge what you need to do. So the first time through, you pretty much need to watch them all. It's
Well,
got
it's
like
kind of like a movie, right? It just adds to
I love the cutscenes
is.
in game. Like I'm the kind of video game player where that was like playing the Final Fantasy games purely to get to the next cutscene. Like I was, it's like
Yeah.
for me, like the cutscenes almost like were more important than the
Oh
gameplay.
yeah, especially when I used to
Yeah.
play Metal Gear. Oh
Oh
man,
yeah,
they have
yeah.
some of the best ones.
This is done by the creators of Final Fantasy. So this is
Right.
a very Final Fantasy.
Square Enix. Is that Square
Yeah,
Enix? Yeah.
it's a very Final Fantasy game. It's basically Final Fantasy meets Disney meets Diablo because it's not a full straightforward RPG. Battle style is more like Diablo, where you build up. You're going through levels and you've got groups and hordes of things that you've got to fight, and you level up. And as you level up, you get better weapons and better items, kind of a thing. It's not a full like RPG, but action RPG more of a thing.
Cool.
I spent the first 5 hours getting through basically what would be like the introductory level. It's basically you do this level and then all of a sudden the game actually begins and starts and all the worlds open up.
I picked up a Xbox original Xbox like classic game that was originally on PC at Star Wars Celebration, which is Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, man, I played that on PC as a
yeah. So it's I guess it's technically considered an RPG game, right? Like that's the way that
it was intense, man.
Yeah,
I wish I want to get it again so I can put more time into it because I put a lot in the beginning and then kind of walked away from it.
Yeah. I mean, I had some exposure to it on PC like way back in the day, but it it is like it has evolved and like grown from like a fan base standpoint and like an impact on the Star Wars like fandom standpoint to the point where it's like one of those undeniable like games like that people talk about. And
dude, it's like widely considered like the best Star Wars game.
I know, it's just crazy.
Well, it's widely considered the best RPG on the original Xbox too. So it's not. It gets a lot of praise from just about every field: the RPG field, the Star Wars field. Like it's
got so much acclaim behind it, whether it's from the gaming audience or the Star Wars fan audience. That I was like, I just saw it and I was like, oh, $20, sure. You know what I mean? Like, I'll pick it up.
I can't remember the one I played. I think it was Unleashed or something, but you could end up picking which side of the Force you wanted to go to, and you could soup up your Force powers, but then you could do multiplayer. So you're sitting there Jedi flying on to different levels and then like shocking them with the lightning or pushing them. So it was like an intense GoldenEye with Jedis and Sith.
I mean, Battlefront 2 can be like that sometimes, like especially when you're playing like multiplayer.
Yeah, this is well before Battlefront. This is like PS1 or 2 maybe.
Right. The original Battlefront games were good too, like before the current era, like before they remade them for PlayStation 4 or whatever. I think they were originally on PlayStation 2.
I think the first one was.
Yeah. So those were pretty good games too. I mean, I don't have, as a Star Wars like addict, such hardcore fan, I feel like the gaming side of it is that I have the least experience. So I'm trying to in some ways like go back and like get get those stories.
Give you a whole story that runs parallel with like an event, the movies, like I can't think of a Star Wars one-off base, but I remember they did it with the Matrix when they had the Matrix game. I mean, that was a huge franchise at the time, and that thing just split off, and it told you a whole other story about these other characters, Jada Pinkett's character and Ghost in the other one. So I know there are games like that for Star Wars too, which is even better.
So it's just it's a gateway for me right now to get back into gaming. I haven't been in it in a while as far as being a gamer goes.
Yeah, I'm got every Star Wars game. For the original Xbox, because there's 13 different ones, and there's the Star Wars Jedi Fighter, Star Wars Starfighter Special Edition, Star Wars Republic Commando. There's the Star Wars Obi-Wan, Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy.
That's the one right there, I think, Jeffrey, Jedi Academy.
Dude, you got to bring those with you when you come to New York, man.
All right.
Play them,
Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2. And then there are Star Wars, the video game Lego, and Star Wars 2, the trilogy Lego.
Nice.
So,
dude, Jeff, have you seen that? There's a guy on Instagram, I think Nerdy Girl shouted him out or follows him, but they do graded video games.
Yeah, they do.
Dude, I've seen some of that, dude. It's crazy, man.
Dude, I want to buy some just for like nostalgia for like the Sonic the Hedgehog or Skate or Die or something. I'm like, I have nothing to play them on, but I wouldn't open them anyway. But
the problem, for me, the problem is like, wouldn't you have to have a second copy then? Like, it's like if you're starting to talk about like,
I guess it's kind of the same thing as comic books, man.
It is, but it isn't, because with comic books there are easy ways to have a large library of comic books.
Well, you could emulate too.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right about the emulation thing. It's not as, I guess, as straightforward as like having a subscription to Marvel Unlimited or DC Universe.
No, and they're really trying to fight the whole
better.
It is becoming better.
I had to have mine made by a buddy, and we put it in a Nintendo shell. I think I brought it up before, and it just has every single Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and Super Nintendo game.
I did a very poor job of maintaining the packaging on my video games, like the boxes.
What boxes? They're long gone.
Yeah,
they're long gone. The instructions. So like all my shit is just like loose cartridges or loose or whatever. Like I don't even know. I mean, they're like probably in my parents' basement or something.
Dude, I always donated or I sold them because I needed to make the money to buy the next system that was coming out.
That's what I did. I always take them in and trade them in towards the next one, you know?
I couldn't afford to keep it, let alone, I had to buy the next one.
I think I gave somebody my Sega Dreamcast, and that's the one system I want to get back because I love that.
Dreamcast is so underrated, and the technology with the memory cards, I can't believe they haven't made a colorized, better touchscreen version of it in our controllers today. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was dope.
You could slide it out, take your Soul Calibur players and treat them like they're freaking Digimons, soup them up to their gangster, slide them back in your controller, and play them in the. It was dope.
And that was like early 2000s.
Or for sports games, you could see your plays in your bench right there and just change them right there on your controller instead of having your opponent see the plays that you're running on the screen or having to pause it to. It was just so convenient. I can't believe they haven't made it better.
Well, yeah, and the first model of Dreamcast, if you knew what you were doing, it was like CD. If you got a CD minus disc, you could burn and play. I think it's CD minus, but you could burn and play your own games. It's freaking rock, dude.
Yeah, I had that was a great system for the PS1.
What was that game? What was that game with like the taxi cab?
Taxi Driver, man.
Was it? Yeah, Taxi Driver. Yeah.
Taxi Driver and Ready to Rumble were the two.
And I was addicted to Virtua Tennis also on that system.
That one was super dope with they had the Williams sisters, right? And
best tennis game of all time, in my opinion. Like not that I have played every tennis game that has ever come
out. About it, it's just a better version of Pog or whatever. Like, you're running with people.
It just felt like very like reactive in a like appropriate way. Like every time you hit the ball or whatever, it just I don't know.
It's just like Mario Tennis.
Yeah, it just
had some killer games.
Had the right control like dynamics or whatever. Like it just
as far as fighters, it's the best game for like Street Fighters, Marvel vs. Capcom. I mean, it even had I don't know if you guys
Soul Calibur till today. I mean,
I don't know if you guys know there's a game called Power Stone. There's Power Stone and Power Stone 2. And those were basically Super Mario or not Super Mario, Smash Brothers. It's the same thing as Smash Brothers, but it was before Smash Brothers, and it didn't have Nintendo characters, but same type of gameplay, really cool game and everything too. So Bomberman, like all that good stuff.
Somebody I'm trying to remember what video game I saw somebody on my timeline post a Super Nintendo game called it was like a Marvel licensed game. It was but like Capcom was involved in the game.
Oh, the
I don't
Carnage.
know.
Or the Gems or
War of the
something?
Gems. War of the Gems. Yes. So Super Nintendo had Marvel superheroes in it. I know it had nothing to do with like any storyline that matters like today, really. But
Yeah. It had
but
like Captain America and Hawkeye in it and stuff. And I
Oh
think
yeah, that was like
Spider-
your version of the arcade that
yeah,
you.
yeah, it's like
Spider-Man and Wolverine, Iron Man, Hulk
Do you
were
guys
all
remember that X-Men
on the
arcade
cover.
game that was like super dope? You could walk into
I think
any
so.
arcade. There's like 6 joysticks.
that was like my favorite. It was like the TMNT arcade game, kind of styled, but it was just with the X-Men characters.
I have so much love for the TMNT arcade game. That was my childhood right there. The arcade.
Yo, Kachung, what's happening, man?
Hey, Cocoon.
I have the
I
3
had some
Ninja
Atari.
Turtle games for regular Nintendo, and then I have the Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo, which aren't quite the same as the arcade game, but same game and play style. And dude, those are some awesome games, man.
Yeah,
Sophie is here too, of course. Welcome.
What's up, guys?
What was it? Xenovision or something? No, that was the. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It was around the time of Atari. It had like a long one with a little knob at the top and a bunch of numbers. Oh man.
I don't know. I went backwards with my video game system trajectory.
ColecoVision.
ColecoVision, yeah. So I had the first video game system I had was a 8-bit NES Nintendo, but then like 2 years later, like a friend of mine didn't want his Atari 2600 anymore, and he had like 30 games, so he just gave it to me. So I all of a sudden had a Atari 2600 and was like, I was already into retro gaming when like 8-bit Nintendo was the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, when Nintendo came out, that was just a game changer. I was like, holy shit, Super
Mr.
Mario.
Garrow, good to see you.
What's up, Mr. Garrow?
Or
Yeah,
then when Sega came out after that and you had Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh,
game changers right there, man.
So my mom at the time, I think, was working like at a Macy's or a J.C. Penney or something like that in the mall during the holidays as like a second, like to get some extra money or whatever for the family, which I really appreciate. Thank you, Mom. And one of the perks of her doing that at the time was she got like an employee discount on the new Sega Genesis system or whatever. So for that holiday season, we had our Sega Genesis system like already like reserved and good to go through my mom at the mall or whatever, wherever it was. And she got that like Street Fighter Special Championship Edition like bundle pack. Or
the Streets of Rage, right?
Yeah, and I just played the shit out of that system, man.
Man, I was a kid. I remember I was snooping around looking for Christmas presents, and I found them, and I was all cocky, like, "Oh, I know what I'm getting."
Streets of Rage is great. I have that.
Oh man, my parents pulled a fast one on me. They took all the shit out of the box and stuffed it with like trash or whatever, like underwear and other stuff. And so I opened it and I'm like, yeah, Sonic. And I open it to start setting it up and I'm like, son of a bitch. And then like 4 hours later in the day, they're like, hey, go look over there. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yes.
It's funny now that I think about it.
Yeah, I don't think I got my Nintendo till like I think almost the Super Nintendo was coming out. I was always behind a while, had to wait for that price drop and stuff.
Now, right now, I'm back on the Nintendo, dipping my toes back in the gaming world. I'm playing Cuphead and Mugman.
Cuphead is freaking awesome. I haven't actually played it, but I watch like videos.
It's
on YouTube.
like playing a 1940s cartoon, like a tripped out steamboat Mickey. It's so much fun. It's great, man. It's hard, but it's great and very adaptable. Like the patterns don't just keep coming the same way every time. Like the enemies will come out different ways, so you're not just getting used to playing the same game over and over. I definitely highly recommend that game.
I like Batman Returns for Super Nintendo. That's kind of a side scroll like beat 'em up game. That was cool.
I like
it was pretty good.
Yeah, the Michael Jackson game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think was it Super Nintendo that had Star Fox on it first?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's a great one, man. That's super good.
That was my favorite. was my favorite, I think, for Super NES.
Well, all
Yeah,
right,
well-
guys, it's 9 o'clock, man.
Oh,
I don't
wow,
know if
time
you want to
flies.
watch
Time
your
flies,
flies.
time flies when you're bullshitting about shit.
I know people want to go ride some dragons and kill some walkers.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah. So I'm one of those nerds. So
Me too.
so a quick reminder to anybody still left watching that Big Will and Barbarian Kung Fu have a comic book auction. So whether you want to go check them out
Right now, go over there now.
go check them out right now. I'll probably go check them out and then watch Game of Thrones, or maybe I'll watch Game of Thrones first and then I'll show up late. We'll see where the night goes. But I wanted to shout them out again. And thanks for joining us here on the Direct Edition Squad. This was the 5th episode. We'll be back hopefully next Sunday with the full squad with the fearsome 5. And thanks for joining us. See you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.